Hello, everyone. We are live here with Jon Galane, but before we get started, I do want to go through a quick disclaimer, especially since we are going through a market update. I want you to know that West IRA does not render tax, legal, investing, or any other professional advice. We do not give, I was reading it. I need to not read it. We do not offer, I just know it by heart. It's easier by heart for me. We do not give tax, financial, legal, or financial advice. We do not consult in any of the appropriate or any of the areas of legal accounting or anything like that. So without further ado, my total mess up of our disclaimer. Basically, this is for your information. We are not financial advisors. We do not tell you what you should and should not invest in. We are here to help set up your self-directed IRA. So thank you for joining us today. And Jon Galane will be going through investing in the market update.
Good afternoon, everyone. On this rainy day in Boise, Idaho, actually rainy week, I need to contact Noah and find out what I need to do. He's been let up all week. Anyway, yes, you should seek appropriate tax, legal, or investment advice on any of the information that I'm giving you, especially since my opinion is just like everybody else's, and you know what that means. But here it is as I see it. This is not going to be a long session today. And the reason why is COVID has created this unique thing of fear, and it has created fear in the government, which has created a fear in me that one side of the government is trying desperately to get the economy back up and running at the risk of some people's health. I'm not a doctor, and I've talked to some doctors, and believe me, even the doctors I talk to, I get all kinds of opinions on. But my opinion is that the economy can open up, and 80% of the people are going to be just fine. Of the other 20%, anybody over the age of 65 has to be concerned, or people with at least two markers. So if you have obesity or diabetes, or heart disease, or high blood pressure, or high cholesterol alone, those probably aren't a factor. But if you've got a couple together, you have to be very careful. So you've got half the government that wants the economy open as fast as possible. And I happen to be on that side, so just to let everybody, full disclosure. Then you've got half the government that I fear is using the fear of coronavirus and the fear of illness to keep government shut down and create havoc in the economy for the election. Could be right, could be wrong. You know, I am slanted, but it's as I see it. And this creates a terrible situation because we now have the highest unemployment since it's been recorded in 1948. 1948 is when they started doing the records on unemployment, and it's the highest now ever. It's sitting between 30 and 35 million. And it's not just the highest in numbers. We're probably close to, when May's numbers come out, I suspect we're going to be close to 20% unemployment. Now, the talking heads on TV who know nothing about the economy or nothing about the medical situation with coronavirus are freaking out that we're in a Great Depression, that it's worse than the Great Depression because unemployment is higher. Believe me, it's not worse than the Great Depression. When you go out to the stores, the shelves are full most of the time. There are some supply chain issues with poultry and beef and pork and toiletries, you know, toilet things like toilet paper, paper products, toilet paper and paper towels and that kind of thing. But that, oddly enough, is because the paper products, oddly enough, is because everybody's buying, which creates a positive for that industry. So the meat is a big problem. I was
vegan.
Huh?
I said time to go vegan.
For vegans, it's not a problem, but it's still a problem for the economy. There are two things I see that are major problems for the economy. One is the supply chain on meats, The other is the supply chain, the low value and cost of oil. Although this sounds very cool for those of you out there that want to change the world and get rid of oil and get rid of killing animals to eat, there's a problem with that. It creates a major hole in the economy. Doing that gives us this sense that something is wrong, and then you've got the opposite side of that. Bear with me, I'll get to a point here. But the opposite side of that is the market keeps going up. And it keeps going up for good reason. It went back down, like I was saying a few weeks ago that I saw a dead cat bounce. And it did. It dropped back down. But the most amazing thing happened the other day, for those that don't watch the market, is there is a company out there, and you have to forgive me if I get this name wrong. I think it's Moderna. And Moderna has figured out a way to completely change how vaccines are developed. In the past, vaccines were developed by taking the live culture of whatever the virus was and figuring out how to inject that into people so that the body would attack it and create antibodies, and those antibodies would stay in the body and protect you against the virus. Great idea. Of course, you have those that think it causes autism and things like that. But anyway, this company, Moderna, has figured out a way to attach a fake cell to an RNA chain, not a DNA, but RNA chain, the ribonucleic acid. And they can fool the chain with this synthetic cell that is not a virus at all, and doesn't act like a virus. It has no effect on the DNA or on the viral system or on the endocrinetic system or any of those systems. It's just a fake cell that's like it wears a costume and makes the body believe that it's coronavirus. And the body develops through the RNA chain a antibody, and this antibody sits there and goes, no, you're not attacking my body, so that when the coronavirus actually shows up, the antibody will do everything it can to fight that and ward that off. Why is this so important? Why is this so amazing? Well, in the past, it's taken 4 years. Like the fastest I think they've ever gotten a vaccine out is 4 years, and up from there. I mean, sometimes it was decades on stuff. But the cool thing about this is not only can they use it for coronavirus, they can also use it for all the previous coronas, and they can develop chains that react to that, such as swine flu and other things that they don't have really vaccines for. Anyway, they're in stage 2 trials already. So they're already working on human beings, and they are looking at possibly having this thing out, depending on stage 2 trials, by the end of the year. Now, of course, don't take that as gospel. It's coming from the media, and the media seems to mess up everything. Doesn't matter which side you're on. They manage to get it all wrong. But I was listening to the CEO of the company, and he's a pretty sharp dude, and he explained this whole thing. And I agree with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, who has said that the economy is not going to fully get back to normal until there's a vaccine. And I think the big part of that is fear. It's fear from people. It's fear from politicians. It's fear. I'm trying to think of the last time I've seen fear like this that's gone on for this period of time. And I think the last thing I can remember was 9/11 and the fear of being attacked. Different kind of fear, but same results. So my belief is the economy is going to come back. My belief is also it's not going to come back as quickly as most people in the current administration think it will or want it to. I think that it's going to be a slower recovery. It's going to have some bumps along the way. And I think that if these trials have any issues, that we're going to see the market again fall, and we're going to see volatility in the market. I don't think we've got stability in the oil markets. We certainly don't have stability in commodities, which would be the cattle and the hogs and the poultry and various other things like that. But I also think that the supply chains are getting better. There was an order. Sorry, I don't mean to close my eyes on you, but I'm thinking there was an order like 1 or 2 days ago where the government is going to start buying up massive amounts of beef and poultry and hogs for food banks and for getting into people's hands where the supply chain can't do it. And I think that's a great thing. By the way, I don't buy into either side of the press. The one side of the press that says that the current administration is doing absolutely nothing and they're screwing everything up, I think is so blind to reality that they can't get that straight. I also think the other side, who is the cheerleader for the current administration, can't figure out that it isn't quite as good as it seems. And I sit right there in the middle where it's not quite as good as it seems. But I will say this. I think that commercial, and you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. I think commercial real estate has got some serious problems ahead of it. Because I think the way people do offices and office complexes and employees is going to change. I don't know if it'll be permanent, but I think there will be some kind of change that changes the commercial market. I believe that the commercial housing market, like apartments, I think that will remain fairly stable. Even though nobody's buying in that market right now, I think they'll get over that, especially once there's a vaccine. And I say especially once there's a vaccine because I absolutely believe that there's going to be a vaccine on this thing. And I know that there's been other illnesses where they say they're going to have a vaccine like for AIDS and HIV, and they never have until now. The company, oh gosh, I have to think for a second. Gilead has just released over 1 million doses of a type of vaccine for HIV, which suppresses HIV and keeps it from spreading. And this is a huge deal. So the biotech industry, Gilead and Moderna, these guys have stepped up, and for years they had difficulties, and now all of a sudden they're the kings of the hill. And I think that all these advances are going to be very good for the economy long term. Short term and long term, I think that residential housing is going to continue to be strong. We have the lowest rates ever, I think, in my life, which I swore I said I'd never see that again back when they went down in 9, 10, 11, but I was obviously wrong. So just like everybody else, I was wrong. But I think we're probably at about the lowest point. I think that Powell, I'm sorry, I think I called Mnuchin Treasury Secretary. The Treasury Secretary is Powell, and the economic advisor, and I'm trying to remember Mnuchin's title, I can't, is in the executive branch, whereas the Treasury Powell is not. Powell is doing everything he can. He's using all of his resources to keep markets stable, to keep banks liquid. He feels very good about what they're doing to make sure there's liquidity in the United States and liquidity worldwide. So they're doing everything they can. So amongst all the turmoil, I think that Treasury is working very well with the administration on doing what they can. And I think that the easiest thing to do, if I were somebody that was looking at the economy and deciding what to do, the easiest thing to do would be turn off the TV. Go work on your house or go to work. My father once gave me great advice. He goes, when something's going wrong, just go to work. If things are going bad, go to work. If you're depressed, go to work. See, the answer for everything was go to work. Well, he liked to work. He's definitely a workaholic. But he has a point there. Turn off the TV. Stop listening to me and others and do what you know how to do. Do the business you know how to do, be the best at relationships that you know how to be, and invest the way you've been investing. And I do promise you this, in 10 years, if you invest the way you've been investing and you've been successful in the past, in 10 years, you will see that you're successful again. I can't stress enough that you don't have the liquidity and the tranche problems and the separation of real estate lending and the assets. None of that exists right now. None. You've got some supply chain issues and you've got awful figures. Retail figures were awful. I think they were down 20% this quarter. And it was expected, and they're going to be worse next quarter. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anyone. I don't think we're going to see stability until the third quarter, and probably middle or end. So I would get ready for the market to have a really rough July when when earnings and the market stats come out for the quarter, and I would look for the market to have a rough October. And those are usually your two big times when you see massive drops in the market. So just be aware of it. May happen, may not happen. I've watched plenty of people on CNBC that every time the October and July things are happening, they immediately pull out of their quiver 1987, that the end of the world is coming. And then when it doesn't happen, nobody calls them on the carpet on it. So fear is your enemy. I see it in a lot of people right now, and fear is definitely your enemy. Just be prepared. Just be willing to take some volatility. And as I've said before, either be a bear or be a bull. Don't be a hog. Hogs will definitely lose in a time like this. So I think that's all I have today. I wish I had more, but really every day is like Groundhog Day. You hear the same stuff everywhere. Every once in a while you get a bright hope like Moderna and like Gilead, but for the most part, it's Groundhog Day. I can't tell you. It's just like, I'm embarrassed for our country a little bit. It's Groundhog Day. Every day you turn on and hear the same people saying the same things about the same, this one lied, or this one's guilty of this, or this one's worthless, or although I know my daughter and my staff is just gonna go, no, he didn't just do that. But I just, the one thing that does irritate me, and it's been going on for 3 years, this war between Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi, and really for her to get on TV and call him obese, an obese old man. I mean, it's like, we know you guys hate each other. It's like, give it a break. So anyway,
for that one is just immaturity. So we're not going to get you on that one.
Yes, it's immaturity at the age of 80. Some people just don't want to grow up, I guess. Of course, some people might say that about me too. Anyway, on another note, our Mountain West IRA's economic future, I want to say that our business has been very stable. Our clients, we've been taking care of our clients very well. We're totally open and in the office, and we're just excited for what the future brings. And we're seeing people invest quite a bit. We're not seeing people back off. So I commend those people that aren't listening to the Groundhog Day crew. And on that note, everyone have a great afternoon.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.